All right, so I got a question that was sent in to us from one of our followers. Shout out to the homie CAD, Champaign, Illinois' finest, Chicago's finest. He had a good question. I want to read this to you all and see what you guys think. And this is in relation to something that we missed over our last show. So he says, "Yo, so I heard the episode and I have a question about Kendrick that you all didn't cover. Do you think this album has the staying power of classics that have come out during our generation, like Me Against the World or even Good Kid, Mad City? Better yet, how do you think his core fan base is going to digest his album, especially since this is a fuller album than what they're normally used to getting?" So let's kind of tackle the classic option, the staying power, as it relates to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
Quick question.
What's up?
If something is, does it have to be classic for it to remain relevant, or can it still be relevant and not be considered a classic?
I feel like it can be relevant and not be a classic, but I think he's leaning towards more of, iconic joints that really like when you mention Me Against the World, that's an iconic album, right? So I think he's using that as the scale, if you would. What do you all think about this album as it relates to that question and the staying power? Do you think this will be something that we look back, 10, 15 years from now, as old men? Will this be a classic and something that we'll go back and revisit? What do y'all think? I'll go to Jay Moore first. What do you think, man?
It's hard to say anything, about it being a classic because we're barely into, being able to sit with it for 2 weeks.
Sure, I understand. I've always been against the 24-hour classic. I'm just, we trying to project.
Staying power, yes, because of the subject matter.
Okay.
I think it'll be something that people will reference, especially if somebody does something similar, kind of like how we brought up domestic violence from the RZA,
right?
In relation to We Cry Together, because a lot of things just move in circles, and it takes another generation for people to discover something and then rediscover it through something else that person has referenced.
Right.
Like I said, there are probably people who listen to our show, and shout out to them, who were like, "Oh, let me go back and revisit, the RZA song." But I don't think something has to be a straight up classic for us to revisit it and have staying power.
Right.
I love 444 by Jay-Z. I think it's a good album, great in places. I don't think it's a classic though.
Nor do I.
Especially when I compare it to the rest of his catalog. So because really, say classic, you're talking about very rarefied air. I would say without a, with no hesitation, Good Kid, Mad City is a classic.
And that stood the test of time. I would agree as well.
Don't know if I would say the same about Damn or To Pimp a Butterfly, which these are albums, especially To Pimp a Butterfly is an album that I love. Like I said, I revisited that album,
right?
Last week after I listened to, Mr. Morale in the Steppers, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it was just a thing where I was like, oh, okay, this album is really good. There are spots in here I don't know if it's a classic. I don't know if it's a classic. Enough time, we're 10 years removed at this point or almost 10 years removed from Good Kid, Mad City. I listen to that and there's still no skips.
I think the first three, Section 80, if you want to call that. Okay,
I put Section 80 as a classic too.
Right, Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly. I think all of those are in this category that CAD is talking about. I think all of those qualify for that. Go ahead.
I think To Pimp a Butterfly and Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers are very similar, honestly. Okay. Not in sound, but
approach,
yeah. Because like I actually, after he talked about going back and listening to it, I actually went back and listened to it yesterday.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that that one is a classic in my personal opinion.
I agree.
It's right there, and maybe I just need some more time.
Yeah, I think that one is a classic. There are a few that could have been left off of there, in my personal opinion. It's more like the playful little tracks he's doing on there. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I think it's solid from beginning to end. And then to end it talking to Pac, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty amazing. But,
Mortal Band, yeah.
Yeah. But I think I actually listened to his latest album a couple more times. I was in a place where I could listen to it and actually, be able to enjoy it a little more. And it's sounding better every time I hear it. It's not nothing I'm about to pull the plug or hit the button and say it's a classic right now, but the way he's touching on therapy, I mean, the way it's even structured is pretty much therapy sessions, so to speak. And then how he even begins the album saying how many days it's been, it coincides with when Damn came out. It's like he always has little puzzle pieces and Easter eggs that lead back to something else. It's just the creativity is so crazy. So I think it absolutely will stand the test of time as far as even an album that schools might tell you to have a discussion or write a paper about. Not necessarily classic material, but it's definitely in the realm of something that should be appreciated from now until whenever.
What you think, Lon? Does it fall on those lines to you?
I have a different kind of approach to this because I don't really see. I mean, the problem with calling stuff classic is that there's no real criteria for what that is, and so I always have a hard time like calling anything a classic. So I don't know. To some people, yeah. To others, no. I think it's a good project. I do think it, kind of like what Terry was saying earlier. I do feel like the approach of the project was very similar to Pimp a Butterfly. But for me personally, the ones that made me want to listen over and over and over again were Good Kid, Mad City, and Section 80, and one is technically considered a mixtape, really. So, but
Section 80,
but it's still an album. I mean, it's not. I
always hear 50-50.
It was right around the time when that term kind of was like, mixtapes were always like rapping over people's beats, and then people started putting them out like over their original stuff, and it kind of got wishy-washy there. But it's all original, so it's
good production.
It's not a mixtape. So, but it's too soon. In my opinion, it's too soon to say that this is a quote unquote classic. Even if I was somebody that was going to say that this is a classic, I think there's a lot to digest, and I think as consumers in general, maybe not anybody sitting at this table, or in this room, but in general, as just a culture or of people and where we are in the world, we're so used to, having stuff have to hit us right away and have to respond right away and all that. And this
people want to be the first to say something.
There it is. That part.
And so
that's the part.
It's like it's cyclical in that manner. So this kind of doesn't follow that mold, and it's so there are going to be people that be like, it sucks after 2 listens. I'm like, cool, all right, like why, like I guess we don't hear the same,
right?
But I think it's a really good. It's just like I said last week. I think it's a really great piece of work. It's not my favorite project from him, but he's got some really good stuff on there.
Right.
So
I think I lean more towards stand the test of time. I'm not ready to say, classic. I think there's a consensus on what we've said thus far.
Use the word classic, genius.
Right.
And what's another one everybody uses way too often?
They use the word literally way too much, but
here's the latest one is narcissist. This person is a narcissist. That person is a narcissist. Yeah, but
art is thrown around a lot too for stuff that is, I don't know, I wouldn't consider art necessarily, but people say it's kind of the comparison of people who say, man, we shooting a movie. It's gonna be a movie. We made a movie last night. That make Red August mad by even. I ain't gonna even say it no more. But the people that oh man, it's a movie, man. It's a movie. It's not a movie, fam.
No,
it's not a movie. You standing in front of the DJ booth, bro. Y'all didn't make a movie last night.
You didn't.
Jay Moore,
you didn't buy any drinks. You didn't talk to any girls. Don't tell your friends. Oh yeah, last night was a movie.
You was looking at your phone in front of the DJ booth. Jay Moore was looking at the back of your head with the small snapback. Like, come on, man.
So
that's not a movie.
That's unfortunate.
What did you say, Lo?
It's unfortunate.
I ain't here for that, but anyway, I think it definitely will stand the test of time. It won't be one of his highest ranks, but I have heard some people say this is my second or maybe third favorite, which is cool. I respect
about
that.
Kendrick, though, he's one of those artists that everything he drops is going to create a ripple in time from whenever he dropped it.
Yep.
I mean, certain artists like Stevie Wonder or somebody else, you can literally go down every time he dropped an album, and it for that time period he dropped it in, it was very relevant, and it still is to this day. And some of them are more relevant than his newer ones.
Right.
But all of them are relevant.
Right.
Yep.
You know, so.
Some music just lasts, man. It's certain music out there that will stand the test of time, and there's some that is.
Marvin Gaye is another one.
There's another one. It's some fly by night. It had a moment.
But,
it had its moment.
I mean, but you know, you can. I almost want to compare this, not completely, but remember Marvin Gaye? He had the "Hear My Dear," which was basically an album he did as a part of his divorce settlement.
Yes,
and there are people, you know, who hear that and they're like, "Man, what is this?"
Yeah,
but there are other people who listen to "Hear My Dear" and are like, "This is everything right here."
"Hear My Dear" has heat,
and so
Nas actually gave him a nod on.
On "Life Is Good."
Yeah, Hear My Dear" has heat.
You know, so you know that's the kind of vibe sometimes people are on when they digest art, you know, because if you were a fan of Marvin Gaye's more commercial, you know, records, and you hear My Dear, you're like, nah. But
Fam was going, to your point, he was going through something.
And once again, this was an album that was really, he did it for him, and also he did it so he could settle his divorce.
100%.
You know, and so it was like, all right, you know, here's this record that is deeply personal, and it really wasn't for you, for the people who just view my art as a product.
Right.
You know, and so I feel like that's kind of where Kendrick is right now.
Yeah.
If there are people who only view art as product, then you're going to have a completely different idea of this album. You know, if you're just looking for, okay, what are the singles? What can we get on the radio? How can we work? Maybe we can work one of these into a shoe commercial. You know, and if that's how your vibe is, then you're going to feel a certain way about this album.
100%.
You know, if you're willing to accept art as something personal, and then just somebody actually letting you into their life, is they're not thinking about the whole project being A&R'd and dissected by people who are just interested in commerce, then, you know,
that's our culture. Though,
yeah,
right?
that's our culture. Yeah, it is our culture.
Turned into it even more.
That's why I understand why a lot of people don't get this.
I got into a conversation with one of my homies in a chat group. First thing he posted was 295,000 sold. This could be his worst album based off the sales projections, and it's not doing this on Billboard. It's not doing that. It's not connecting, quote unquote, with the people.
Still going to be the #1 album.
It was, and I said, fam, if you think this album was made for sales, then that tells me we look through different lenses as relates to music.
Most people do, though.
You know what I'm saying? That's cool. That's how you see it. All right, cool. But I understand there's certain conversations that we just can't have as it relates to music.
But that just shows how also people don't understand what it is for this marketplace. Like, first of all, there's no physical, you know, I bought the other 3 Kendrick albums, you know, that were released through Aftermath. I bought the physical copies of them. They were available.
We've given them away on the show.
Exactly.
Me and
whether it be a
Terry
CD
went to go cop, if I'm not mistaken,
or the vinyl. There's no physical of this, so it's all streaming numbers. And you got to understand, like I think somebody like a Bad Bunny, does big numbers, festival numbers. I think his album, which is still the #1, the highest selling debut of the year, only did like maybe 10 or 20,000 more than Kendrick.
Right.
You know, and this is a sure enough commercial artist.
Right. Definitely.
You know, so like when people throw those numbers out there as hate because they don't get it or it's not something that they can vibe with. Still, he topped any other rapper that came out this year.
You know what's crazy? When we went to, I know Terry will remember this. We went to go check for the Damn album. I remember asking the person that was working, I'm like, yeah, so do you have it? Does it play backwards? All the stuff that we heard about. It just goes to the groundswell that always comes up.
You're asking the Best Buy employee this?
I did. I asked him. I'm sorry.
He looked like he was hit. He looked like he was hit too.
I was like,
Okay.
yo,
All right.
yeah, thank you.
I mean,
like,
I'm not trying to clown the Best Buy employee, but if he's just putting CDs on the shelf.
They ain't cut us a check, but we love y'all. But no, I mean, I was literally asking, like, yo, did you run it? Like, does it play backwards? All the stuff we saw online. And it goes to the groundswell that comes out every time, you know, Kendrick drops. And then I don't even think they had it that night that we went. So
yeah, they had it.
Did we cop that night?
Definitely.
I'm old, so I can't remember.
You know, and the thing is, we'll probably get, you know, on vinyl.
There's already been a tour that's been announced, so I'm sure
there's going to be
there.
some.
Jay Moore, give me a price point for them tickets for just throw one out
I've
there.
already seen. You know, if you're trying to be up close, you're going to have to come off of
what I'm coming off of.
You know, $400 to $500.
Can't do it.
For one ticket.
Yeah, I'm not even doing that for Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
What's the nosebleeds might be the best option for this?
Or just
depending on your budget.
Or just not go. No, I'm not saying if you love Kendrick, you know, You'll figure it out.
Got Bruno Mars ticket numbers.
Yeah, I know they taxing. I know Bruno them taxing.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm just saying.
Stop, man. Stop.
You know, that's where. First of all, artists. You can't. Don't be sitting up trying to count their pockets because of quote unquote album sales. This is all still imaginary math, as far as I'm concerned.
And we're not counting your pockets.
Nobody actually sold anything. Like look at the ticket sales. That means a lot more to me because
True.
and
then whatever merch he got.
That really means
most of that's
what your
going to
engagement is
pocket.
in. You know, you could come out and be like, yeah, I streamed the equivalent to 500,000 records and nobody will come see you.
Yeah.
Even if the tickets are a good price. Then I'm sorry, that's all funny math and a whole bunch of foolishness and streaming farms.
Yeah.
True. Streaming farms.
It's a thing.
No, I believe you. I believe you.
In racist chat room showing feet.
Yeah.
And streaming farms.
Which one is worse?
What you mean?
Of the two rooms.
I guess it depends on your how you feel about feet and racism.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's feet versus racism.
Yeah, feet, racism, or farms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Streaming farms.
We're gonna leave that alone.
I mean, streaming farms is, could be bad for the environment, maybe.
Yeah.
Same way as
I feel
trying,
like you
trying to mine Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I feel like you leaning towards feet.
I'm leaning towards racism in the worst.
Yeah.
It's the freedom for me.
That's cool. I can dig it. I can dig it. Shout out to brother tonight. He says the nosebleeds was running for 200 for Kendrick.
Dang.
You know, if y'all out there, y'all thinking about it, just know you have to come off that paper.
I got some floor joints for the Wu-Tang knives for like 130.
Oh, I was gonna say you balling, but that's reasonable. And that's reasonable.
You think everything is balling?
Come on, man.
A value meal to you is balling.
I ain't say that. Don't do that.
They're like, oh wow.
Now Red August.
You don't want to have steak talk with Mike.
You got 2 barbecue sauces? Whoa, calm down.
Like, you going where to buy a steak?
I feel you. I feel you.